Previously on The Locker Room.
Kovacic first, Vasquez, who's very industrious as well.
Casemiro's going to stay in front of the defense. He's not going anywhere tomorrow.
Right.
He's staying in front of Ramos and Varane, I think.
Ronaldo had 12 shots at home against PSG.
Yeah.
The whole team of PSG had 8. Yeah. They will score in this game.
15 games, 13 wins, 2 draws. As good as Juve are, they're not going to beat Spurs at home.
I still see Tottenham in a flying position.
Yeah.
See,
exactly.
For me, the quality of this Tottenham Hotspur team at this moment is above Juve.
Yes, it's going to be Juve.
Hello and welcome to The Locker Room. Some bold predictions as we saw there. Not many could have guessed exactly what would have happened this week in the Champions League. We will be talking about that tonight. Coming up on the show, we'll be talking about the future of PSG coach Unai Emery, Zinedine Zidane's tactics in that game, and we'll also be looking ahead to the Scudetto, the title race in Italy, with a big game between Inter and Napoli this weekend. But we start tonight's show by reflecting on the Champions League week that was. And for a second straight season, PSG are out of the tournament after the last 16 stage. But is their coach Unai Emery out of a job at the end of the season?
Is that actually a serious question? I mean, it's wonderfully coached. You presented beautifully in your Internazionale colours, by the way.
They are
Kate.
not.
But of course, I mean, it's his dead man walking. He was a brilliant coach with Sevilla. He had his opportunities. He didn't learn from last year with Barcelona after that catastrophe. And his team were not energised at all from a game that they needed to win desperately. Bobo, they didn't turn up. They didn't turn up.
They're going to change the coach because you can't change 27 players. So the coach is, he always gets the blame. Like Ray said, he didn't do enough.
I think for all of us was a question mark.
Yeah.
I mean, he did so well with Sevilla and with some lower teams in the second division as well. And those teams, I think, overachieved. Now, all of a sudden, the expectation is right here. And you know what? He cannot deal with big stars, Bobo.
That's the problem.
And that's tactically, he got totally exposed. Good coach for mid-table teams, maybe, but not for this team right here.
So maybe Conte is a sort of big name they do need. I do feel sorry for him, okay? I mean, yes, he made mistakes, but 4-0 up against Barcelona last season and you lose 6-1 in the dying minutes. I mean, nobody saw that coming. This time around, he's 1-0 up away at Real Madrid and you're thinking, wow, they're looking fantastic. That goes pear-shaped. He comes home. Verratti gets himself sent off, which is real stupidity. So he hasn't been helped by some of his players' performances.
Before the game, the lineup, I mean, for me, in the midfield, like Bobo's been on about all week, you know, how desperately poor the midfield was. And the start, Thiago Motta, in that situation, I thought he played Mbappe on the wrong side, but it didn't matter. The front three had one pass. Cavani, Mbappe and Di Maria passed to each other one time in the entire game. Now, for me, that is a bad integration, and that comes from the man
the
at
way
the top.
the midfield was set, one pass is a lot in the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
The way they were playing, because the midfield is 30 minutes, 40 minutes behind them, and have 3 players.
Isolated them.
In the big games, he's made baffling mistakes. Doesn't start Silva in Spain. All of a sudden, he's back. He's the captain. Doesn't play Mbappe, who's the best defender is Marquinhos, because Silva rules that locker room. Starts Motta, no pace,
Nothing.
and then Alves got taken to the cleaners in Madrid, and all of a sudden he says, you know what? I'm going to play Asensio there again. I'm playing Benz over in here. I have Kovacic, and then Asensio will make it a 4 versus 3 versus Silva, Motta, and Alves. They cleaned house at left side in both games, and he never made adjustments.
Here's
Poor
a
coaching. Poor coaching.
Question for you, and I agree with you. Cavani coming off first leg was crazy. Can PSG ever win this European Champions League playing in France? Because they never get tested. He's not had a chance to try out the slow midfield against a really good team until now. And when he tries it, every time he comes up against a really good side,
you know,
they find the weaknesses.
The strange part about it is as well, in that first game against Real Madrid, as we were talking about earlier, PSG played well.
They did.
They were,
Absolutely.
all of that aggressiveness and that sort of intensity in that first game was lacking at home, in front of their own fans.
They have too much pressure. I don't think they should say anymore, we want to win the Champions.
Yeah.
Don't say nothing, because then automatically you put pressure
Which is
on the team.
because you're saying that Real Madrid kept their mouths shut all week. And in fact, Marcelo's talked about it afterwards, saying we decided we were going to let our football do the talking.
Okay, Real Madrid are in the final 1 year yes, 1 year no. They're a team that is made to play the Champions League.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
So for them, it's normal to go and play with pressure. They play at the Bernabeu every Sunday. They have pressure every Sunday. It's normal for them. They have the biggest players in the world.
Yeah.
PSG, too much pressure, too much talking about we have to win the Champions League.
Yeah. And it wasn't just that. It was the fact that the way Real Madrid managed their game. Not just the lineup was perfect. You know, you look at the bench of Real Madrid, you think, God, in the second half, this crew's going to come in. But it was the management of it. It was the way they handled the game in front of them. They contained. You know, Casemiro was outstanding, but Sergio Ramos was magnificent. And then the Dark Invader, of course, is going to supply. And the one that got knocked a lot for me was Benzema, and I thought he played all right.
They gave them all 3 out of 3 in some of the Spanish press.
The papers, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they slate him, and it's not fair.
They don't know
Like
what
they all got
saying.
3 out of 3,
Zidane.
except for him, he got 1 out of 3.
Masterclass, I thought, in both games. I mean, Asensio comes on, Vasquez comes on, Bale comes on, woof. The game turns to Madrid.
Well, because, let's remind the viewers.
He starts Asensio and Vasquez.
Yeah,
and they are part of the first goal as well.
Coming back from injury, left on the bench. Isco and Bale left on the bench. Asensio and Vasquez getting their chance.
Well done, Zidane, giving those players as well.
The Ronaldo goal got all the headlines, but for me, the setup of the goal, like Thomas said, was absolutely outstanding.
Who knows soccer? Who knows soccer knows where the goals come from.
Right.
The people that, Ronaldo scored, he cleans up everything.
Sure.
But the cross from Vasquez.
Absolutely. And the ball from Asensio knocked in.
Can we come back to your friend Zidane? Can we come back to Zidane and say that the decision he makes to pick Vasquez and Asensio ahead of Isco and Bale was, I didn't see that coming. I thought BBC would start. And he makes that decision. I'm thinking, you make that decision, you've got to be confident, because if it doesn't come off, every one of us would be saying, how can you not start with Bale?
Reason why Gary
He makes
Bailey
that decision, and it turns out to be perfect.
Alves at 34 in the last few months has shown that he likes to go forward, but in transition defense, he's that Asensio and that Vasquez run, Rocky, on that left side.
Yeah.
What a ball to Ronaldo, what a great header. All starts
But it's
here.
still a brave decision.
Great coaching.
Isn't it a brave decision to
That's
go?
brave.
Gary,
But good coaches are brave, Gary. I was brave.
Kovacic had an outstanding game as well in his industry, in his tactical strength. Always clean and sharp on the ball, but
They have phenomenal young players.
Yeah.
Hirose wouldn't play them. Kovacic, Asensio, Vasquez. If he plays them, that means he thinks that they're at Real stands.
Right.
Okay. He put 2 midfielders that are hungry, young, and run. And go like beasts. They run towards the goals and back.
Why no Kurzawa on the left, by the way?
That was a mistake.
This is the Real Madrid
That's a big
dressing room
mistake.
afterwards as well, and you can see the unity with all of them and just how they're all feeling. As you were mentioning, Ray, it just seemed that every decision Zidane made paid off, and his players did what was asked of them. He said, we had the plan, we had what we wanted to do, and it turned out the way we hoped.
But again, I want to give him credit, because I've given him some stick at times this season, and I think he's not always managed the team the way it was the last couple of seasons. But if he had got this wrong, if they'd have lost, I can guarantee you that 99% of the media would have been saying, how can you leave Bale on the bench? How can you not play Isco? He's the best Spanish midfielder, etc.
That's the rule.
And that's a big decision.
But if you're a coach, a big coach, the media, you don't care. Because they talk. I don't care about the media. The media, I don't even talk to the media.
And he backed that up.
I don't even want the media.
Zidane backed that up by saying it was president, I don't need anybody. All this is forgotten now, but this is what we've been talking about. The strength of his character.
I text him.
We're okay. Yeah, he got a text from him. He calls him Z, not Zizou. He gets away with the Z. And Zidane responded immediately to you.
One of my best friends. He's not going to answer me?
Well, maybe you're not. Maybe you haven't sent him a Christmas present. I don't know.
No, he's a coach. You got to understand, big coaches, if you think about the media, you're not a big coach. You're a normal coach. The media, doesn't even... The media people They have never seen one training of Zidane. So what do they know?
Okay.
Who's he playing? Who's not playing? Who's in
Let's
form?
talk
Who's
about
not in form?
coaches. If you're a coach watching Zidane pick this team, even top coaches are saying, "Oh, you're going to leave Bale out in a match like this?"
You know what he said?
Bale, one of your
after
top
the game?
players.
He said,
That's brave.
I'm not a genius. I'm making the best players play. He's got 25 fantastic players. Fantastic players. And he's got the cojones to put
change.
Bale out,
Didn't you
Isco out,
say, didn't you say start of the season? You said start of the season, he always plays BBC. That's how we've always seen this.
Okay, maybe, you know
and now
what?
he's made a big change. And I'm just giving him credit, saying, well done.
Maybe he sees the team, he says,
Yeah.
you know what, we're suffering maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah.
I'm going to play with two up front.
Credit.
And two young guys.
With a 3-1 lead, that was the right thing to do. Everything he did was absolutely bullseye.
Well done, Zidane.
I want
Okay.
to ask him, can you give me your boat this July for 2 weeks in Ibiza? Thank you.
You can just text him. He'll reply to you straight away.
Z.
Let's talk. Yeah, Z. Let's talk a little Premier League. Liverpool can leapfrog Manchester United into second spot
say
in the
that, Kay.
table if they can win at Old Trafford on Saturday. A quick round the table. Who've you got, Gary Bailey? I don't want to hear a draw.
But why do you say they can? Why don't you say United can go way ahead of Liverpool if United
Well,
win
why
at
don't
home?
you say that?
Because I'm not convinced.
Go ahead, Bailey. Come
I'm
on.
going to go with United, but I don't think we're going to play pretty. I think we're going to play counter-attack football. But our home
Easy
record,
change.
here's our home record. Our home record against them, we've won 10 out of the last 13. So we don't give much away at home against Liverpool. But if it's going to be a win, it's going to be a hard-fought win.
A home
Maybe
win.
the most
Thomas.
underrated front three or fours of Liverpool. Firmino, Sané, Salah. I mean, those guys are unbelievable, scoring both in Europe and in England at a crazy rate. And I think that these guys, just like Real Madrid, can go anywhere and get a goal or two. I'm taking Liverpool. Sorry, Gary Bailey, I have to.
All right.
Christian Vieri.
Come on.
Liverpool in fantastic form. I'm choosing Liverpool.
At Old Trafford.
Yeah, I'm not turning away from the Reds either. Like Thomas says, electric front three, probably the most dynamic of any of the teams across Europe, including Manchester City, including Barcelona. They have been electric. Have they got it defensively? We'll see.
We will play this back to you on Monday,
Well,
Ray.
they've lost one game in the last 10 on the travels, Liverpool, so they travel well as well.
I'm going to go for the Gary Bailey draw.
The draw.
There's no way Mourinho wants to lose this one, but I can't see Liverpool not,
Whoever
taking
scores
something away
first
from it.
wins the game.
All
for
right,
me.
so everyone's gone for a win. I'm going on the fence for this one. I'm going to stick with a draw. Still to come on the locker room, Serie A talk and the race to secure the Scudetto, a look ahead to Napoli's weekend, and a look back on Juve's wonderful Wednesday at
Juve.
Wembley. Welcome back to the locker room. Elsewhere in the Champions League this week, Spurs looked like they would reach the quarter-finals, but then Allegri switched things up, and in the second half, everything seemed to be coming up Argentine races.
Hey, Argentina!
I thought we'd get a response from you in this one. But once again, Juve proving to be so ruthless. That first goal for them, their first shot on target, just like we saw against Lazio just a few days before in the 93rd
Such a shame.
minute.
I was watching Spurs there thinking they looked so good first half. They were sharp. They had chances. They could have been 2 or 3-0 up. All the time you're at 1-0, you're thinking, oh, you're leaving the door slightly
been.
open. But
Could
two
have been.
chances.
Could have been,
and,
should have been,
yeah,
would have been.
And that's a sign of a great striker. Not good.
When I
Great
play
striker.
poker, Gary, if I had ace, I win. But I never had. I always had king 2. That's what I always had.
right,
Should have been, would have been.
Did we see experience shine
Of
through in
course.
this
I
one?
mean, the defence came through. It's the DNA and the passion of the defence. You saw those wonderful exchanges between Chiellini and Buffon after they were damning the torpedoes, because right to the death, Spurs were coming at them. They hit the inside of the post. There was chances galore. A little unlucky, Tottenham Hotspur, I believe. But no, defensively, Juve magic. Higuain was brilliant on his supply for Dybala, and Dybala was magnificent. Great winner.
I'm going to put myself in the back here.
You
the only
can.
one that without
you did.
any
You did.
hesitation
Yeah,
said
you did.
Juve.
did.
Several reasons. One, Matuidi and Dybala didn't play at home. Dybala scores the winner. Matuidi is pretty good in midfield. But Allegri and Zidane show Emery how good of a poker player they play the right cards all the time. And you know what? It's never over till the old lady sings. That's what Juve does. Late. What was the last game at home?
Third
Exactly. But Dybala as well. Unbelievable.
So with his goal and asistencia in Spanish, it was a crucial game for Gonzalo Higuain, who once again proved the doubters wrong this season. Now, is the Argentine a victim of his own reputation, or is there such a thing as players who have trouble in big games, Christian?
It's not always about if Higuain scores, he's good. If he doesn't score, he's not good. It depends how the team plays, if he has chances. What if the team doesn't create nothing? What's he going to do? He depends on the team. It's always a team game, this one. Then we always say Messi, Ronaldo. If Vasquez doesn't do that amazing cross, and Ronaldo's not going to score. So you need your chances. Sometimes he doesn't put his chances away. That's why people saying in big games he chokes a little bit.
Especially with Argentina, am I correct?
Yes.
But all the time. But and Benzema is another similar sort of case. I mean, Ben's had some great opportunities the last few weeks, missing them. But what he brings to that line in his combination play, in his runs, not just his industry and his endeavour, he's smart. He holds it up when it needs to.
What about the assist to Dybala?
He knows how to play.
He's for a big man like Benza turns and plays his beautiful through ball for a big guy. That's not an easy ball. Right in his path.
It was an easy ball, actually, in the end, but it was great construction.
But for him to see
coming in from an offside position, which he was, into an onside, and then turn, and then the vision.
Thread the needle.
But there's a big gap.
That's why it's good to have these players, because they can score and win games, and they can give assists to, they open the game up. They know how to play, so they like having an extra midfielder when he goes towards them, and then when he goes up, someone's talking to me, I can't hear him.
It's so special to have that type of player, even if they're not hitting the back of the target like he was.
Yeah, well, 9 goals in his last 7 competitive games for Gonzalo Higuain. And speaking of Argentine forwards, Serie A is offering up quite the clash this weekend. It's Inter against Napoli, and it's our choice for the international connection.
This segment is brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
Icardi, Icardi, Icardi. Icardi is back this weekend for Inter. Is this the man that this team has been missing?
I thought it was Mondello. Icardi?
Who's Icardi? Who are you talking about?
Mauro Icardi.
Ah, Icardi.
Sorry. He's so mean to me, but he just wants me to do well with my Italian, that's all. How crucial is he to Inter?
If he's there, you have an Inter team that can play to win and get in the Champions League. When he doesn't, in the top 4, when he doesn't play, it's a normal mid-team. That's what I think.
I'm not going to say he's good, but look at Napoli away from home. I mean, everyone's focusing on Inter being at home and Icardi back, but Napoli, what's the last 13 games, 12 wins and a draw? They're actually better away from home than they are at home. And as a neutral, I'm saying please let Napoli win, because if Inter go and win, then Juve run away with it. But if Napoli win and Juve are caught up in European Champions League semi-finals and finals, Napoli could still win this. And as a neutral, I'm saying
they can't win the big game. Every time they come up against a competitor, Juve.
I'm just saying I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
Oh, okay.
So is this a true test of whether you're a champion or a nearly has-been?
Not as much Inter. Inter's good. But to me, it's against Juve. In the last 2 years, they can get 1 point out of 12 they get. That's not good enough. Inter right now, on form, tough game. They're not going to win this. They might not lose, but they're not going to win. Napoli, and they have to win this game. You're right, to really say we're still there.
Yeah. Okay. Napoli has the pressure now because they lost at home last week. Juve won. They need this game. They need the 3 points. Now the pressure is up. So now everything becomes difficult. The passing, you can't make too many mistakes, and if you're gonna go, you're gonna panic. It's hard now. For Napoli, it's not easy.
Okay, it's not easy at all. You can watch this game here on beIN Sports. It's Inter against Napoli, and if Icardi does get onto the pitch, it's worth remembering he's got 18 goals in 22 games in the Serie A this season. Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we have a preview for you too, and it will be Andres Cordero and Matteo Bonetti on the call for this one. When we come back, we weigh up Ernesto Valverde's options this weekend against Malaga. You're watching The Locker Room.
This segment was brought to you by Modelo Especial, brewed with a fighting spirit since 1925.
With With an injury to Andres Iniesta and a key Champions League game with Chelsea next week, Ernesto Valverde has some decisions to make. Who comes in for the midfielder? And also, do Suarez, one booking from suspension, and Lionel Messi start this one? It is bottom versus top in La Liga.
Will he, now that he's 8 points clear, take a few more risks? Probably. I think he's more likely to leave. Key players, Iniesta certainly I wouldn't think would start. I wouldn't take that
They
risk.
say that he's training. They might have him back for Chelsea. He's definitely not
definitely
ready for
not.
this
So
one.
even if he was, you wouldn't risk him. You might risk one or two others. I'd like to see Dembele get a chance to run out here. He's under a bit of pressure. This might be a game.
Spent 160 million euros. Of course. What, you're going to keep him on the bench?
No, but he's been on the bench all the time. That's why I say get him out there, get him to play and get him to score and give him some service and let's see if he's a decent enough player.
Gomes came on for Iniesta against
the
Athletic.
key is to rest Andre Gomes in this game. That's the key. As long as they rest Andre Gomes, Barcelona will win.
All right.
Ernesto Valverde has been sticking up for Andre Gomes, but they do say that this game may be one where he gets to prove himself once and for all. OK, we've got to do another quick prediction. Sevilla have a game against Manchester United coming up next week. Before that, they've got Valencia to deal with. Predictions, please.
It's hard to call. It depends on his team. I'll go Sevilla to win at home because it's home ground, fans behind you, that sort of stuff. And they want to get in form.
Some guys are going to rest, but the reserves are going to step up, want to prove themselves. 2-1 Sevilla. I agree with you, Bailey.
Christian.
Sevilla.
There you go.
I'll go with
Wow.
Sevilla.
Okay.
Nobody Valencia.
Kay Murray, what are you saying?
Valencia will be dangerous.
Kay.
I'm going for Valencia. They're going to be resting players because they want to stick to
hope
Manchester
they win, and then you can stick.
Valencia
Yeah, I
are on
hope
a
they
good
win,
run of
actually.
form. OK, it's Friday, so we always like to have some fun. It's time for What I Loved.
What do we love?
This is an oh my goodness, what happened to this guy? Is he a footballer or is he just a terrible actor? Wait a minute, he steps back up. Watch this. Here we go.
Come on.
That is brilliant.
What game is this? What league is this?
Time. We
What
found
league is it?
it on Instagram.
Oh, no, this is joking around. Come on.
That is great. That last one's brilliant.
He's taking the mickey. He's got...
No. There's a sniper. There's a sniper in the stadium. I'm telling you. Oh, see, there's a sniper. He went down.
He's
Get him,
playing to
Bailey.
the crowd. Come on. He's just having a bit of fun. He's
This is a
messing
very
around.
nice one. Houston Dynamo striker Albert Ellis treated
What was he
80
doing
kids
this
from the Houston area to a private screening of the hit movie Black Panther on Thursday in conjunction with Dynamo
Great
Charities.
kid, by the way.
The
Is he?
school
I
they
saw
go
him.
to,
Yep.
Las Americas Newcomers School, is designed for recent immigrant and refugee students. Many have limited English and have had limited formal education in their native country. So we absolutely.
very good.
Christian's
Well
still
done.
laughing now about
Honduran
that guy.
International.
That
Honduran
guy there,
International.
his parents, they don't say, you're not coming, you're not sleeping here no more. They don't say that. His friends don't say.
His parents live in Honduras. He's in America. So.
No, he's talking about the guy who died.
What's
Jumping up, falling down.
Z, easy. Z.
It's
No one says
Friday, it's the locker room. Join us this weekend. We've got some massive games, including the big one, Inter against Napoli.
Sorry,
See
Allegri.
you later.
It was Lee Steiner making a
Beautiful mind
difference.
over here.
Great sub.
That's my phone number there. What are you doing?